there'd be a lot of poop in my pants. I've seen a 6-foot alligator go swinging through the air and slam into a tree.
These guys are the scientists of the supernatural, lecturers leaving lessons for inquiring laymen. They are applying the scientific method to a world that baffles science. They are the cryptids of the corn.
But who else has big black wings and red eyes?
Batman.
Well, Mothman.
Oh yeah, Mothman.
A great white shark was stolen.
Oh, someone stole a shark?
I got stuff for you don't even know about.
She's a witch. She turned me into a newt.
Who knows? Anything could be possible. Anything could be possible.
It's really big abduction vibes.
Holy moly.
It sounds like you were abducted.
And it just stood up. I mean, it just like kept going and going. And she goes, what the?
Hello, and welcome back to Cryptids of the Corn podcast. I am the great and powerful Mr. E.
I am J Clone 4 today.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And today's episode is Bigfoot is a manatee.
Huh?
That's all I'm going to say for the next, until we get to about an hour away.
A manatee?
Yes.
Okay. Holy moly. Yeah, I can say it better myself.
But we're not doing tons of top of the house on Monday episodes anymore, but I got a little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
We're looking for a table. So we're getting the new studio set up. If any of our people want to make and donate a table or work out some kind of deal, I've seen all these custom tables people got. They look awesome.
So you're just hoping for a custom?
I'm just hoping.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out in the ether.
Just putting it out in the ether. There you go.
Okay.
But no, like, if we got to do an ad on our show, or we'll work something out.
Do whatever, yeah.
But no, we are looking for a table.
Yeah, sweet.
I've seen, like, we were talking to Hollow Skies this past weekend, and they were showing me theirs that a listener made for them, and we were on Tony's. You know, we got to be on Tony's table, that brand new table that a listener brought up to him.
That's awesome.
Tony's table is absolutely massive, though.
We don't need nothing like that.
I mean, literally, I don't think we could fit it in there, to be real honest.
We just need something to strap a couple mics to. And
yeah, a nice table. Just a 4-person table.
Stable.
That's what I would say, like a 4-person table.
Yeah, in case guests.
Mm-hmm. I think Tony's table is probably a 10-person table.
At least.
Oh no, it's 10 without any on the ends.
Yeah,
it's five computer chairs deep.
No, yeah, I don't need that.
And I think it's 3 computer chairs wide.
Yeah, no.
It's anyway. So we're looking for a table. If anybody has the capabilities or the interest in making us that, let us know. Another thing is, we've been having some issues with some of the Patreon stuff, just some of the weird littleness in the app.
Some glitches, kicking people off.
So we're working on getting a members only space that's coming in the next couple of months. It's going to be the exact same thing as Patreon, except it'll be us running it.
And
so not a third party.
Just a member space on our website, cryptidsofthecorn.com.
With the app and everything like that. We're working on getting an app made. If anybody's interested in that, let us know. So it's almost done. It's just we got to know if it's worth the money to invest. And if it is, we'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're listening on Spotify, put that in the comments below that yes, you'd want the app, or no, you wouldn't use the app. Not that you don't want one, but you wouldn't use it, just let us know. I think that's all I got for front of house. So what's today's topic?
What's today's topic?
Mm-hmm. Do you know?
Well, it sounds like since you brought it up in the beginning, we're going to talk about Bigfoot and what is Bigfoot?
Yeah,
as you claimed.
Yes.
What is it?
A manatee. I mean, I don't claim it. I know it.
Oh, you know it, huh?
I know it in my chicken bones.
Oh my gosh,
the bones of them chickens tell me it's a manatee. What? No, so we haven't done a good Bigfoot episode in a while, and we've had a guest on that have talked about their Bigfoot experience, but me and you haven't sat down.
Haven't discussed Bigfoot in quite a minute.
A long time.
Yeah.
And as anybody should, your opinions change with more information, data, and experiences. And we've done tons of research, talked to tons of people. I mean,
shape and mold our minds and thoughts.
I was going to say, there's not really anybody big in the Bigfoot community anymore that we really don't know, at least some way, shape, or form. And we know a lot of them kind of personally now.
Yeah, which is a crazy kind of.
But it's helped us get a lot more information. I mean,
oh, for sure.
We've talked to Ron Moorhead till like 3 a.m. about some weird stuff, even more weird stuff, and Renee, and it's definitely changed my opinion over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Oh, mine too. 100% sure.
And I was just on Tommy's podcast, Let's Get Freaky, and we said at the end of it, it's 2.5 hours just about Bigfoot. And it felt good because we haven't done that in forever, just sit and talk about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, I just said, your opinion should change. If you ask me generally on any given week, and I'll probably have a different opinion than the previous week because I read something different or I talked to a different eyewitness, it's just, and it should be that.
Right. You should be ever looking to grow, and your opinions should also follow suit.
You should grow. It's growth.
Yeah.
It's okay to be wrong. And I think we grow up in a culture right now where that's kind of, I don't know how
wrong is bad, or like you mess up, it's bad.
Yeah.
Because it looks bad on social, because you can't post that on Facebook.
That may be some of it. I don't know where it came from, but we definitely live in a generation where being wrong is not okay.
Right.
But it is. It's okay to be wrong. You only learn from being wrong.
Because now if you're wrong, it's like projected and broadcasted to
that's
all
probably a lot of it.
Before, it's like only you and maybe your neighbor or your friend that was over at the time that watched you do it wrong. The only people that ever know.
Neighbor's an entomologist, and I'm wrong on insects all the time.
Right. I bet. According to him, like, he's like the
and
you
he's super
version.
nice about it.
Yeah, he's the you version of bugs.
Yeah, but he's nicer about it than I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm funny mean.
He's just, well,
he's like, well, that's not quite right, and here's the right answer, but yeah.
It's a good thought, though.
He's like, yeah.
And here's some cake, and you want homemade bread?
Yeah, I tell him all the time I hate bugs. I hate working with bugs because it's just so hard.
I was say, don't say I hate bugs.
Bugs are great. I hate working with bugs.
His heart like sank when you said that, I'm sure. Like, well, I hate bugs. But all the things he had to put up with your family in the past, that was one that just was too much for him to handle.
Grandpa cutting down his tree in the front yard and everything. Anyways.
Splitting it for firewood and then telling him after the fact.
Yeah, he gave him half the wood.
Fair.
It was Raymond thought it was a fair shake.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
All right. So we did this episode. I have it devised to where I just kind of got a lot of the main ideas of what people think Bigfoot could be with a little bit of data. I have it more set up for me and you to talk rather than having a bunch of stories and a bunch of that kind of stuff. So do you want to get started with it?
Yeah, let's jump right in.
My first one is Gigantopithecus.
Classic biological.
Yeah, this is the one that gets pushed all the time. So let's talk a little bit about Gigantopithecus first, just the animal itself. Extinct roughly 350,000 years ago. That's a rough date. We don't have a lot of their bones or fossils, so I'm going to make it very clear. We don't have a lot of their bones or fossils. These guys are pretty recent, so we still have some of their bones and their fossils. Fossils are made in very specific conditions. Bones are still bones. A lot of this is due to Chinese herbal or Chinese medicine. What's the word for that though? Like spiritual medicine, animal holistic medicine. I don't know what the word. Anyways, I don't know what the word is, but basically these
holistic.
It may be holistic, but these nature remedies.
Okay, just natural medicines.
So they would say these were giants' bones and giants' teeth, and they'd grind them up for powders to say they cure cancer, male vitality, all kinds of stuff. So these Gigantopithecus teeth were actually discovered by a primatologist in one of these shops and picked up these giant teeth and was like, where'd you get this?
Yeah.
This is the biggest primate to ever live.
Yeah.
I'm like, we find them in the mountains. They're dragon's teeth.
Dragon's teeth.
That's what they were sold as.
No, I believe it.
So they found these, and so we don't have a lot of Gigantopithecus stuff. We have some finger bones. We have teeth and jaw fragments and skull fragments. So we don't have a lot to piece. So we use an orangutan, which is their closest genetic living relative.
Okay. Have they been able to extract DNA out of the?
Yeah, we've sequenced their DNA.
Okay. Oh gosh, that means they can be recreated.
Yeah, you can recreate it.
Oh
Gigantopithecus.
no. Okay.
So now you made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry. We found bones.
Bones. Okay, so on the high end, let's say the very largest we think these animals could have been, we're not sure if they could stand up on their hips or not. Most biologists believe that it's going to be more like a gorilla, to where short periods upright, but mostly all hands and
like a knuckle
legs
walker.
walking. Yes, like an orangutan's kind of pull themselves around and stuff like that. Some will venture and say they probably stood upright. We don't have a lot to support either idea.
Okay. So
let's say they were standing upright on the largest size they could have been, or what you think they could have been. would be about 16 feet tall. Man. So for Bigfoot, they'd put their hands on Bigfoot's shoulder and towered over them.
Yeah.
And most Bigfoots in sightings are anywhere from 8 to 9 feet tall. You know, there are the big, humongous ones that are said to be 12, 13 feet tall.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, Gigantopithecus was bigger than all of that. Conservatively, a lot of biologists split the middle and say, you know, Gigantopithecus was 9, 10 foot tall.
It's a massive,
Still the
massive
biggest
primate.
ape
Yeah.
to ever live. It would have bodied a tiger.
And it's for sure an ape.
Yes.
Okay.
It is an orangutan.
So the DNA
If you
is.
yes,
Okay.
they are very similar to orangutans. There are some hair fragments if you even found of them. They are most likely all covered in orange.
Oh,
These
cool.
guys aren't that distant related from orangutans whatsoever.
Okay. Just bigger versions,
Yeah,
basically.
bigger and much more aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
We think this is one of the main, not predators, but main killer of tigers. These guys would go out of their way and kill tigers.
Yeah. Oh, it's like people nowadays that don't like cats.
Yeah.
They just go out of their way and run them over.
And
or
they think
something.
they would do this behavior to protect their young. Tigers were a direct predator of their young, but
Makes
not an
sense.
adult.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, and we see this in elephants and other big mammals.
Yep.
You know, they'll kill stuff that's not a direct threat to them, but to their offspring.
Yep, to their babies. Yep.
So we know, like I said, very little about them and their diet. It's been supposed everything that they were very slow grazers, to omnivores, to carnivores. I don't care. Take your pick. Some people think they were just bamboo eaters, and that's why they went extinct. Is they were literally so slow and dumb like a panda, is that they couldn't defend themselves. Pandas have very low energy
Yeah.
because of their diet.
Yeah.
I don't think these guys personally were bamboo eaters, at least fully.
Are there any primate bamboo eaters?
Yeah, I mean, they're
Like
primates.
they like strictly?
No, there's no strictly.
So why would
Panda
they-
bears are about the only thing.
So why would they assume these would be?
Some of their fecal contents and stuff like that.
Okay.
They did eat a lot of bamboo, don't get me wrong, but
Okay.
I don't think there's not, we don't have a lot on these guys.
Well, bamboo shoots are pretty nutritional, right?
Bamboo shoots.
Shoots, not the bamboo themselves.
Yes.
Shoots.
The
yeah.
caps are pretty good,
Okay.
but they're, you got to eat a lot of caps.
Yeah.
But bamboo grows a lot.
That's true.
Let's talk about some proof for this theory, or some proof that could point them to being Bigfoots. So some of the really best Bigfoot sightings we have are long torsos and long arms, short legs, short hips.
Mhm.
A lot of people, you see Bigfoot, that's what they say they look like.
Yeah, if you that guy Thinker Thunker on YouTube does a really good job of analyzing, potential Bigfoot videos. But what he does best is he's kind of gets proportion measurements amongst all the, he puts up a certain proportion in the of the Bigfoots or potential Bigfoots and all the videos that come out. And there's a difference between their proportions compared to like modern human proportions, as far as arm length, leg length, torso length. But in all the videos that he seems to think are authentic, the proportions always line up. No matter how tall the creature is or how short, proportions are always generally the same amongst them. And now with hoax videos, you can kind of see the difference. They kind of match human proportions more or less. But it's a good way to, kind of differentiate real quick whether a video is, more authentic or it's a really good fake. So it's pretty awesome how the proportions anyways, what he came out to is like the legs, the torso is way longer than ours. Legs are shorter, but the arms are also way longer as well compared to humans.
And from my personal experience, the only thing I could say is, I couldn't say if I seen arms, like, whatever. I seen the head and the shoulders as well.
Yeah.
I really focused on, and that's what a lot of eyewitnesses focus on, because it's a big animal.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's the part you focus on when you're, I guess, scared or it's a threat.
So, once again, long arms, short legs, long torso, short, I guess, hip, leg area. Another thing is the long hair reported on the arms.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about that. I couldn't find the actual name for that hair, but it's made for animals that come from temperate or rainforest environments. They use it so their bodies don't get soaked. They actually trap water and move water off their bodies and drip. Same thing, the reason cowboys have little strips of leather on their arms.
Right.
So their torsos don't get soaked.
See, and I don't know if I didn't. I think you taught me that.
Yeah.
Back.
It's the same.
season
Orangutans and
1.
cowboys have a lot in common.
Yeah, who would have thought?
But-
besides being in the movies together.
Gigantopithecus had these.
Ah,
And a lot of Bigfoot sightings, especially in the Pacific Northwest, say they have these.
and that could be a genetic, just an adaptation and
It
environment.
could be conversion evolution,
Yeah.
or it could be that a sign that these are the ancestors of Gigantopithecus.
Yes.
Or the descendants, I'm sorry.
Right.
And then Gigantopithecus was in the right place at the right time. So it was in Asia and Russia during a couple of the times the land bridge formed. So they could have walked over. And they were big enough not to be bothered by a lot of the stuff that would have bothered early humans crossing. You know, a 10 to 12 foot tall ape. If a gorilla got 12 foot tall, there ain't a lot that's on this earth that can mess with a gorilla.
No, not really.
Right now, there's not a lot on this earth that can really mess with a gorilla.
No, I mean, maybe
Big cats is about it. And they don't even really want to do it.
No, I was going to say like
Tarzan,
big bull
though.
elephants maybe could.
I mean, an elephant, there's not a lot that an elephant can't body.
Exactly. If that's what I'm saying, but a fully grown like
Elephants don't got a lot to grab and break, you know?
Right, exactly. The big round and they got big tusks. They want to use them. But like a silverback gorilla, a male, like what's going to mess with it? Even a big cat, I don't think.
Gorilla's trunk can pick up like, I think it's 1,000 pounds or 1,200 pounds.
Gosh, yeah.
And it's just the thing on its face.
A big cat would only be the only thing maybe, and that has to get the jump on it right off the rip.
Tigers. I mean, tigers, depending on what species of tiger.
Yeah. But I think if a gorilla was like squared up with it, I'd pick the gorilla, the silverback.
So that's what do you think about Gigantopithecus with all the stuff I just stated?
So I think if okay, well, we're gonna have to break this down a little further before I answer that. Is we both believe that Bigfoot doesn't fall under one category.
I was going to save it for the end.
I know, but I think it's important. You just have to break that down immediately. That we both just don't believe that. But when it comes to if Bigfoot is just a straight up biological creature with no extra paranormal qualities to it at all whatsoever, I think this could be, a remnant of where that creature may have come from. And it just could be like the descendant of that. I could see that. Or two, like similar things breeding, breeding the Gigantopithecus to extinction. I think this could be.
You just said something too that was really good. I'm sorry.
What's
I didn't
that?
interrupt, but you just sparked a thought. We don't have a good explanation why they went extinct.
Oh.
So some of these animals, it makes sense why they would go out. Some of them don't. This is one of those animals that definitely doesn't make a lot of sense because as adults, very little predators.
Right.
They took a lot of care of their offspring. There's not like we were saying, the only real predator they had would have been tigers, and they were not predators.
Right.
Like, there's an illustration of a Gigantopithecus like swinging a tiger around by the tail.
Yeah. Which would be awesome to see.
It'd be the scariest thing ever to walk upon a clearing and seeing a tiger go flying.
Like
somebody throwing a house cat.
Well, I was gonna say like in Monty Python, the Holy Grail. Wow, they always have like secret like little cat abuse. If you're paying attention in the background, like one of them is a guy literally just swinging a cat against the side of a building as it's like just.
So the only good explanation I've ever heard was outcompetition with humans. That humans came in the environment and just took all the resources they were using. And they couldn't compete.
Still happens today.
Early humans, and we're talking 350,000 years ago. So.
But I'm like history is still constantly repeating itself.
So sorry, continue. You were saying.
But with these guys being biological offshoots, or I say breeding them to extinction or breeding themselves out of extinction. But I was also going to say like these things being that old, everything was bigger back then. Just in the old world, I'm referring not like.
That's how you say sure.
Oh yeah, everything was bigger. There's mega fauna. It just existed, and I think these are mega fauna.
You're making really good points. To me, it bounces stuff back in my head that that people don't understand.
The megafauna that existed
just 12,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot.
And it's not. That's not even limited just to animals. That's the plant life, the environment. Everything in the environment was just bigger.
Humongous. Now, what we have left is moose and elk and buffalo,
just some
which
remnants.
were on the low end.
Small side, yeah.
Of all the stuff that used to be. The giant North American camel was like the size of a small elephant.
Giant North American camel.
Yeah, they were scary.
Wow.
Camels are scary.
But they're always depicted as like these dopey.
Yeah, but they still have their canine teeth. They were really recently predators.
That's hard to imagine.
You ever seen one like they have throat sacs that pop out of their mouth and they have these canine teeth when they bite somebody, like rips their arm off?
I've seen them like grab people like the back of the head and throw them down. Yeah.
No, there was one guy that was trying to butcher a camel, and it went over his head all the way to the middle of his chest, bit him, and drew blood and flung him.
Oh gosh.
It almost bit through his ribs and stuff like that. They're not weak animals. But anyways, getting back to it, they're on the low end of the big megafauna that just recently went out.
Just recently, like relatively 12,000 years ago. Yeah, it seems like a long time, but it's not. And you know, from what we understand, the timeline of the Earth, it's just not that long ago. If it's as old as we think it is. But yeah, that's just, so I think if Bigfoot's 100% like a biological creature, and you know, some of them might be, that's the thing. They could be a descendant of this.
Oh, sure.
Like some great primate, which here's a perfect one to point back to, which I think so many people do, but I think it's also overdone so much to the point where it rules. People try to use this to rule out the other weird sides.
This is going to be a long episode.
The paranormal side.
This may be a 2-hour episode, but everybody's been wanting a big one forever.
Maybe a 2-parter.
I know, no, but might be negative against. You know what I was doing, right?
Yeah, the old lady
eating the dog treats.
Yeah.
My big one against Gigantopithecus is the foot structure. What I fully believe in is the mid-tarsal break.
Does Gigantopithecus have that?
No, they had. Here's the thing: we don't have a lot of evidence to say either way.
Okay.
Me personally, with how close related they are to orangutans, they would have had a much more orangutan-like foot.
Oh, here's a thought though: what if pre-Ice Age, when these guys existed, they didn't spend as much time in the trees because they didn't have to? So
I'm not arguing that.
Their foot developed
much more like a man's.
Yeah.
I think that they would have been a lot less tree-like, but still not what we're talking about with Sasquatch.
Right, yeah.
Sasquatch has very long, as far as we know, very long term of evolutionary traits in their foot to be much more like a big cat than a human. Even though, you know, they kind of look like a human track until you really look at them.
Right, yeah.
And you really start seeing some of the big differences with the spongy pads and
bigger ones, the metatarsal break.
With how much an orangutan and a Gigantopithecus already share DNA and already look like each other, for it to have that much more of a developed foot, would it be a stretch for me? Not saying impossible,
right?
But that's my big one to back off and say, okay, this probably isn't what isn't what Bigfoot is,
right? Yeah.
All right, you done with Gigantopithecus?
Yeah, I think that's pretty well thoroughly covered. Shared our opinions.
My next one is ancient human offshoot. So specifically, the two I hear the most are Neanderthal and Denisovans. So Neanderthal were about our height, but they were a lot more stockily built. The often misconception is they were dumb. No, they were just as smart as us. They had high-speed drills, and I mean, they had a wooden drill, but they made complex jewelry. They had complex language and lived in big communities. They're just bigger than us, most likely hairier than us, and they did not go extinct technically. They interbred to make us. Almost every person on the planet has at least 2 to 3% Neanderthal DNA in them.
Okay.
We are what happened to Neanderthals.
And there's also and I just was looking at this now. Cro-Magnon man too. And it's I try looking up information on this, and it's always weird things. So I just looked up their height, like just seeing like, okay, could it be a Cro-Magnon? Because people even speculate that was kind of the first like modern human related to us now. But the first site says, okay, they were 5'5" to 5'7" tall. And then literally the next one says many over 6'6" tall. So like, where's the truth in any of that? I don't know.
So here's my thing with Denisovans. We know so little about them.
Well, is that Denisovan, or is it? I think Cro-Magnon's even separate from Denisovan.
Yeah, I'm saying Denisovans themselves. So I'm talking about a whole different thing. Sorry.
Okay.
Denisovans themselves are the one that gets pointed a lot because they're in the right area at the exact right time and the first time to cross the land bridge to North America. They already had complex language. They had the giant cave paintings that we thought they had structures to paint on, and we know they didn't. They just were that tall. They could paint on the top of their caves.
They're big.
Google. Just if you don't believe me, the giants are real. Whether you want to believe biblical giants or not doesn't matter. The giants, true giants, were real. Just Google how big Denisovans were. You'll get a myriad of answers. The smallest one you're going to find is like 7.5 to 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
So, and there's a little bit of evidence to suggest they were not very friendly to other human species.
And you never know why that. It could be some past trauma. Like war, and you look at Native Americans and their stories with like redheaded giants. What are they always constantly doing? Fighting and like warring with them. If they're related to any of that, it could be like a similar thing. It's just like, hey, we're gonna take care of our territory. They're very what's the word? Oh shoot! Now I'm trying to think political. When you're for your own country, like you're all for your own country. What's it? Not nationalism, but like
patriotism.
Just yeah. I guess maybe I don't know. They're either way. Maybe the Denisovans are very. We're going to stick to our family and our tribe. Anyone outsider is against us. We will murder you because we can.
So let me go through my bullet points real quick.
Okay.
Both species are larger than us and very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Both had access to the land bridges. Both could have the ability to hide from humans and still be alive today. You know, if they're smart, so they can hide.
Right. Oh,
That's
absolutely.
what I was getting by that. Makes sense to why Bigfoot would steal women and breed with them in most Native American legends. They talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was a Gigantopithecus, it would make no sense. They're not. I mean, we're so not related to
Would
them.
not reproduce. It wouldn't work.
Both of these, it could work. And let's say they are low in population, it would make sense why they would want to steal a woman to reproduce.
Right. Yeah. It's a natural thing, especially, just human beings in general. I mean, nature in general, but human beings specifically, I think if you're living in the natural environment and not like what we live in nowadays, where it's not quite natural anymore. But yeah, you want to reproduce. You want your DNA to live on.
So with this, people talk about Bigfoot using tools, talking, interbreeding, and manipulating their environment. All traits of humans.
Mm-hmm. Intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Neanderthal / Denisovan / just ancient human offshoot?
I'm all for this being part of the equation. Even in the Bible, it talks about, I think it was Esau was his name.
The big furry guy?
Just that man of the wild, like the hairy man, like he was, I forget. Now I'm out of my element right now because, I can't quote the Bible at all whatsoever, but I've read this passage, but it's like he had a brother too, but one was born like hairless like us, and the other was born, Esau was born hairy, but he went to live in nature, in the wild. And it's just interesting that that's even mentioned in there. It's a small, but
it's there.
It's there, yeah. So it's just men of the wild. I mean, and then you get back to like, what is it? Is Enki? Is that Sumerian? Like the Enki?
Don't ask me.
But even them, he was the man of the wild, where he was hairy, but he lived amongst nature and he taught people how to do that. But then there was his brother who lived in civilization, hairless. It's just that both sides of it. Now, is that all like metaphor? Is there like humans that live in the wild that mirror the other side of us, the more wild version, or is it all like kind of in our mind? There is a natural wild version of us, and then there's a civilized, quote unquote civilized, living clean and proper, hairless, versions of us. They both exist at once. Is this just a reflection of that? Now could be. I don't know, but I kind of feel like that could be a possibility too. Like we said earlier, there's many versions of what Bigfoot is. That's
believe me, we're 2 in and we're a half hour in the episode.
Exactly.
I got 13, I think.
13. Oh my gosh! But I mean, we'll explore it all.
I mean, some of them we're gonna get past pretty quick.
And yeah, exactly. And we're gonna. It's kind of a quick glance over, but
but at the end we'll talk about what we think specifically.
Yeah. But I think I think could be some of this could be like an ancient human just to learn to live naturally in the wild. You develop things differently. More spiritual side where you're one with nature, maybe your telepathy or your mind power exactly is hyper developed, and
that's the sound in like all of the movies and stuff, like telepathy. They're picking stuff up with their mind.
Where Dr. or Professor X is like touching his head and he sends out the mental waves to talk to.
I can't remember the little girl from Teen Titans, like one of the tiny little kids they were rescuing.
Yeah,
like superheroes to be. They thought she had telepathy, and she's like, "No, my giant bear does everything for me." And during one of the episodes, they finally figured out, no, the bear is real.
Oh, I don't.
And she didn't have any powers.
Oh, she was just a kid with a cool bear,
a gigantic super bear.
Yeah, super bear.
She'd be like, "Oh, it's just telepathy. You just how it manifests in little kids."
I have no idea.
Nope,
haven't seen it.
All right, ready for the next one?
Yeah,
ghosts.
So
let me get this out there before you judge me. Ghost of lost intelligent species. So kind of the same tracks we've been talking on.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of hauntings. Now, Bigfoot and poltergeist encounters actually have a ton more in common than either side really wants to admit.
A lot, actually.
So unless you see a Bigfoot, think about a Bigfoot encounter in the woods. Mm-hmm. You smell something, someone gets thrown at you, you hear weird knocks, and you feel uneasy.
Right.
You feel scared. Poltergeist in a house.
Same.
It smells
Phenomena.
bad. Stuff gets thrown at you. You hear weird knocks.
You feel
and you feel
uneasy.
uneasy.
Yep. It's the same phenomena. Now, is that just a fear, like a fear response, that we kind of have that kind of, I don't know, manifests all those things when something unnatural is around, like poltergeisty or spiritual or something dark? Is that just something natural that we're kind of creating in our minds as a response to tell us, like, hey, get out of here. This isn't something is here and it's not good. It's so the reaction phenomena is the same, but they could be completely opposite or completely different things going on. But I believe that ghosts, and a ghost is a hard term to wrap put your finger on as exactly what they are, but just the spirit of something lingering around, the energy of something lingering around and kind of manifesting its form in that way, I think
Hey guys, we're back. The audio chip got full of recordings.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops. So you were just ending with your poltergeist thing. So we thought it was something spooky for a second because we just talked about poltergeist and then the recording stopped
out of nowhere. But yeah, just a quick recap. Yeah, I think areas could hold on to a lot of energy, and if there was a traumatic energy or a traumatic moment that killed a lot of things in a certain area, these things the energy might just stick around, so you can get like ghostly apparitions or ghostly like creatures that are bound to the woods, and these woods grow and release some of their energy. These things can maybe hop around back and forth and just live in those areas. That's about it for me.
All right. I'm not a big one into this side of it, but it could explain some of the paranormal side of Bigfoot. Phasing in and out. Glowing, the eyes, all
the glowing eyes, yeah.
All that stuff. Next one is one I think is more for local Bigfoots.
Ooh.
So not all Bigfoots, or I don't think anything on this list will encompass all Bigfoots.
Right, exactly.
But this one I think can explain a lot more localized Bigfoots.
Okay.
The misplaced ape theory.
Ooh, okay.
So specifically we're going to talk about, lots of ships had monkeys and large apes for entertainment during the early, traveling the ocean days.
Crazy to think about.
Even species of apes were not discovered for hundreds of years later, like the bonobos.
Wow. Wait, they were on these ships?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, they just found them and they just stuck them on there?
Remember, we talked about it in our skunk ape episode.
What's that?
That we talked about, they called them silverback chimpanzees.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Which made no sense because they're not a silverback gorilla and they're not a chimpanzee because they knew what both were. And they said these bonobos were the mix.
The ones in between.
Hybrids.
Yeah.
And they would have them chained up on ships for entertainment. They'd throw stuff at them to make them, go friggin' nuts.
It's insane.
And then when they got here, the first chance they got, they would take off.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Or anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Specifically, the skunk ape of Florida is not described most of the time as a typical Bigfoot. They're much more aggressive, seen dominating the stuff. They're a lot shorter. They're a lot bulky, more bulky.
And that alleged photo of the old woman took in her backyard.
Yeah, was most likely an orangutan.
Yeah.
Because it probably was scary, and it probably was a big orangutan.
If I found that outside my house in the backyard, I would probably crap my pants.
So, for example, there is literally a monkey island in Florida where a bunch of these monkeys got out and just took over. So that's kind of this whole theory and then
like that King Kong island or the island on King Kong.
No, more like I didn't have a good example.
Oh, okay.
Normally I can fill in the space pretty quick. No, that more like an island full of monkeys.
Yeah, like Planet of the Apes was just limited to one island.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they even mailed him like a little mini Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, what did he say? What's the famous line?
You did it.
Yeah, you actually did it.
Mm-hmm. So this, I think, explains a lot of even like these weird Bigfoot encounters. So there was that string we talked about in that episode of like Tennessee and Pennsylvania where these Bigfoot tracks had like weirdly long opposable toes and stuff like that. Not saying the tracks were fake. I don't think they were Bigfoot. I think they were these, either bonobos or billy apes or all these weird things.
Some misplaced primate.
Yes.
Okay.
Known somewhere else, and then they are smart enough to survive here and stay away.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, especially now, we're not talking about these animals were in chains recently, but their ancestors, their direct grandparents or great-grandparents were in chains.
Yeah.
And just like us, they talk and communicate. So they could be putting a message out there very much that, don't go near people.
Right. People
Are bad.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
Very likely that in some cases this is happening. You cannot rule this out. We already know there's misplaced. I mean, look at the shoebill stork, for example. That's a good one. It's just a misplaced. It shouldn't be there, but we know it's there, especially through pet trade. And, I can't imagine. I mean, it's still going on today, like illegal pet trade, and, things are getting out. But imagine in the old days, like the Wild West of, I'm sure, exotic pet trading or, was a thing even more so back in the day. And there's no regulations going on there, So you could get a whole family of something and then bring it back and then realize, I can't take care of this, or you don't know how to contain it, and then they're just out. They're gone.
Or it rips your freaking fingers off.
Or that. Just choose your fate, or just rips
You
your
try
head
to
off.
shoot
and
it,
gone.
but your trigger finger's gone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so yes, 100% this could be explain some of the cases.
Especially some of the really violent ones.
Yeah.
And especially the South, and why I say the South is a lot of these, like you look at the folk monster had these weirdly long opposable toes, the skunk ape, and that's more closer to their home terrain.
Yeah.
Not saying an ape's going to be happy in the Everglades, but it's a lot better than like Minnesota.
Oh, yeah, probably.
It's not going to get frostbite on its feet.
Right.
Like the story of the gator, like getting swung.
Getting swung.
That's a bonobo. I can see a bonobo just...
8-foot alligator getting swung up against a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. All right. It's not like I never heard it before.
It's every episode.
Day. It's every day.
Every day. All right. Next one. Get your big boy pants on.
My Bigfoot pants?
Your big boy pants.
Oh, okay.
And your paranormal hat. We're now off the beaten track of traditional living things.
Okay.
These are forest spirits or the Fae manifesting to us.
Great theory.
Now, my little bullet points for this is disappearing into trees, protecting nature and becoming very aggressive towards what seems to be sacred nature areas, and mocking us. Like a lot of this is like they're almost screwing with us on purpose, and even getting to that almost shape changer nature.
Yeah.
By that, I mean like a lot of the skinwalkers, the jackal people, the hyena people from around the world, these like almost Loki characters or the Puckwudgie characters.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Where they seem to screw with us, maybe maliciously, maybe not, but still screwing with us.
And they put on these masks.
And this is where we get to more of the glowing red eye Bigfoots. The Bigfoot's walking off cliffs. The Bigfoot's growing. Like a lot of that people, not like standing up and getting taller, but like Bigfoot's expanding like a balloon.
Okay.
It's very weird, some of the stuff. And I think that's where we're getting into this more territory.
Yeah.
Not saying that the Fae, but we're definitely getting into more different rules of engagement.
Not your basic biological qualities.
The last ones we talked about, besides the ghost, the last ones you just talked about, if you shot them, they're going to feel it.
Right.
You might not kill them, but if you shoot them, they're going to know you shot them.
Yeah.
These guys are the ones that it's getting to be like, you hear the stories of like Bigfoot getting shot point blank and they just like look at you. So what are your thoughts on the Fae? And this, as far as connected to Bigfoot?
Well, I believe that the Fae exist. I mean, I believe especially like forest elementals or water elementals. Like people don't take into account how much the effect of energy or water holds so much energy, and a lot of sightings and stuff. Not just Bigfoot, but paranormal in general, when you're out in the wild, takes place near waterways and, major waterways, especially where they converge together. Now, so if that's going to harbor some energy that wants to manifest itself to you, like Puckwudgies in general, or other things living out in the woods, if they want to put on if they have the energy like available to them to put on the face of a Bigfoot-like creature, just to scare you, keep you out of the area, I cannot rule it out as a possibility. Do I think all Bigfoot fall into this? No, I don't. But some portion of them, yeah, I do. I would believe that because I just believe these things exist. I believe Fae exists. Forest elementals do exist, in my opinion, and for them to put on the face of a Bigfoot, is not far-fetched at all to me. So I do like this idea as far as explaining some of like the weirder ones, like you said, with especially the red-eyed ones, whether it's these elementals that maybe that's just what their byproduct of their eye, like that's just what happens when they show themselves, or, it could be demonic, which, in one way or another, maybe they're both if demons are using the same thing to do this, using that same energy source. It's hard to put your finger on, but I can
Save the demons for later.
I figured that's coming.
They make an appearance on the list.
But I can accept this one as being a possibility for some of the weird explanations when they see Bigfoot.
Ready for my next one?
Yes.
Interdimensional beings.
Oh, yeah.
Want to hear a weird fact about the word interdimensional?
Yeah.
I've never spelled it right once.
Okay.
And it's always interesting to see what it suggests. It's never really suggested the same thing.
Gotcha.
The word document suggesting. Yes. The word I got today is indetermination.
Indetermination beings.
Mm-hmm. just putting that out there. I thought it was funny.
Because it's indeterminate on what Bigfoot is.
Oh, I spelled a really long word right the other day, and now I can't remember what it was.
Or you're like you pushed the space and waiting for that red line to pop up.
Yeah, it never came up, and I'm like, oh, awesome. Anyways.
There was a spirit ghostwriting for you.
No. Twilight Zone.
Yes. Would you accept a world where Justin spelled a long word right?
750 words, not one red line.
Is this real, or is this just
That's how you know I'd been replaced by somebody from the government.
Be my first indicator, yes.
All right, so interdimensional beings, or indeterminate beings, or indeterminated beings.
So this falls under, to me, it almost falls under another category, which I hope this.
Let me finish my bullet points.
Oh, sorry.
Please.
I thought you were asking me.
No. Sorry. I just liked yelling at you. Bigfoot seen phasing in and out of reality within a step. Like people see, what I mean by this is people literally see Bigfoot almost departicleizations in a step.
Like
they're still walking and they're phasing out of reality.
Like Star Trek Beam Me Up, Scotty, but without the machine. It just does it.
Using orbs or orbs being around them.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of that. Bigfoot being seen around portals or moving in and out of portals, and even the smell of ozone around these guys.
Ooh.
So, Bigfoot classics stink, but sometimes people report a weird ozone smell and then that's a big tie-in to the next category we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay.
So what do you think about this? And like we talked, I think at the Cryptids and Coffee this morning about the Bigfoot coming out of portal, being orange.
Right. Yep.
And it's still, I think it was boron they were talking about with the flight, the Malaysian flight missing.
If they're
orange.
Trying to explain it in a,
what we can understand.
Yes. Yeah.
Currently.
Right. Exactly. But this one falls under like the alien kind of category for me, as we talk alien or not from here, things from not this dimension. So this falls under that for me. Now, what are aliens? And at that point, you dive into that, whether they're real beings from outer space or if they're created biological drone things that are created here. It's all up for interpretation, or different dimensional beings that are coming into this reality. That's alien too. I mean, it's Bigfoot falling under that. And with some of the accounts that I just can't like prove as being, or, it's just, kind of have to trust some people's accounts on their word, the content of their character, whether or not you can believe them. But a lot of accounts we've heard with enough believable, there's smoke, there's fire. And I'll go back to that example that we did talk about in Cryptids and Coffee. The guy witnessing a Bigfoot coming out of a portal, still glowing. And that not only did he come out with the portal, but also an orb came out of the portal too. So like you said, these things, this is, I think, one of them examples of this. But the Bigfoot was glowing orange, the same color as the orb that came out with it. And he said it continued to glow orange, and then eventually that orange faded away, and it was a physical, like, actual Bigfoot creature, what we describe as Bigfoot. But that orb was still, glowing orange orb was still floating around it. Basically they were like one in tandem, one with another. But he was thinking like it might be the same type of energy as whatever those orbs are, is what's manifesting itself as a physical Bigfoot. Because when it came out of that portal, it was that same color as the orb. So there's definitely a tie-in together. But yeah, I think this falls under I think this is what some of these now. If they're interdimensional, do these creatures have the ability to swap back and forth into these dimensions, back and forth? And this is just their version we're seeing here. Is this the face they put on? Is it an overlap of a couple of these categories, these interdimensional things? Could be.
I've even heard it put forward that they don't necessarily want to be here. They don't have control over it.
They're just kind of
They get pushed over here. That's why they're so secretive and they hide and stuff like that, because they're kind of just waiting until
they get pulled back. Yeah. I mean, could be. It could be. But then that just raises the question, what's that force pushing them or pulling them back and forth between these dimensions? What is it? What's going on?
It's actually paper clips and rubber bands.
MacGyver was onto something.
So what is it? I think is it a quark? Is the smallest fundamental thing in physics right now?
Like a quark, yeah. Which is the name of Ray Zielinski's dog on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Maybe you pull that back, it's actually all rubber bands and paper clips.
What does make sense.
And it gets caught in their fur and it flings them back and forth.
Because the elasticity of the rubber bands, yes, creates a quantum entanglement. It vibrates at the right frequency to resonate with the paper clip. If it's bent in the right geometric pattern. And, I just basically touched on a lot of that weird stuff.
I mean, it's probably not even. It's probably not even exactly wrong. But there's probably a physicist out there that could make that make sense.
His eyes just lit up like, oh my gosh!
Writing stuff on a chalkboard right now.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
I'm pretty sure we have a lot of theoretical physicists that listen to this show. What? Particle physicists too?
No, I think one's an astro, one's a theoretical.
Good. We don't want that particle. We don't live in
I know we have two.
Material world. I don't want to live in that world.
The Barbie song just popped in my head.
What?
A material world, because I am a material girl.
Oh, it's Madonna.
I know, but it was in the Barbie movie.
Oh, I never saw it.
Anyways.
Not cultured.
Aliens?
Yeah.
Or aliens' pets?
Oh.
And we'll get into alien pet thing here in a second. So aliens is the first big thing. And some of the things we have for this Bigfoot are often seen around UFOs, or around UFO flaps. They are often seen right before or right after, going in and out of UFOs also. We even have a couple small accounts of them operating UFOs. Abductees have claimed to seen Bigfoot-like things on ships while they're being abducted. And there's the Chestnut Ridge incident. So let's dive into this.
So the first one, I mean, just them being aliens in general, like Chewbacca. It's Chewbacca. Soft disclosure. Just straight up. These are out of this world creatures that are intelligent. They're not dumb. They're big. They're tall. They pilot ships. Chewbacca. Star Wars was already telling us, they're exposing this to us. But our friend of the show, he's been on the show twice. We've interviewed.
Oh,
Mr. Daryl Sims, the alien hunter, has showed us the lineup. I'm just gonna put the lineup of the different types of aliens that he's broken them down to, and one of them is a big, hairy-like Bigfoot creatures being one of these alien races or alien creations. Let's put it that way, and that might fall under what you said, like the alien pet kind of thing. Mm-hmm. These could just be also biological created beings that aliens, and I say aliens, I mean,
not from here.
Not from here. Non-human created biology. Or maybe it is human created biology. And these creatures that are created are the aliens because they're not meant to be here. They're creations. They're created by either another race or by man. I mean, it's hard to say one way or the other because there's a lot of human beings that probably shouldn't be here either that are creating these things. Microsoft creator.
Stop. Wrong show.
But yeah. So could these Bigfoot just be like biological drone type or created beings?
A lot of South American UFO. I want to do a whole series on South American UFO sightings because they're some of the craziest, most well documented.
Okay.
Like the Virginia incident, not like Virginia.
Right. The state.
I can't say it right.
Okay.
It's almost like Virginia, the state.
Okay.
But it's like Virginia. I can't do it. Anyways, it's like Virginia. incident with all these little creatures, but there was a series of them where they had Bigfoots hopping out of ships from low altitude, collecting soil and earth samples and like running back to the ship.
Yeah.
Until they got seen and they became incredibly violent and attacking the people. And it happened a ton of times in South America. So whether you want to believe whatever aliens are, that it seems like this type of Bigfoot at least is directly tied to them.
Right.
Where you're talking about Daryl Sims, and having tons of eyewitnesses associating them with these.
Yes.
There's a lot of evidence to point that whatever the UFO phenomena is, the Bigfoot phenomenon, at least some part of it, is essentially connected.
It overlaps in one way or another. And yeah, what if, I don't know. It's just hard to say. And what if the aliens, these ships that are coming down and dropping, these things are, dropping out of, what if they were made by like secret UF government programs? And then these are secret government program beings. Another, it's so hard. Like, it's quite a rabbit hole. It could.
So before you move on to that,
yeah,
because that's the next one.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good segue.
Yes. But what's your final thoughts on the aliens?
Oh, I just think there's enough accounts that this is part of the phenomena. I think honestly, everything so far on the list kind of touches.
There has to be
on the Bigfoot phenomena, which is why the Bigfoot phenomena in itself is so confusing.
That's why we haven't found a Bigfoot. Is because you can't, like, some of them I think you could put a net over.
Yeah,
and then others will just like morph into a giant praying mantis and then eat you.
Right. And unless you're someone that's like fully, into this stuff and is interested by this stuff, which is why you're listening to our show and why you're here with us, for the average everyday person that this isn't even a thought in their mind, it's hard for them to wrap all of this stuff into like the thought of just Bigfoot, other than just being a big thing ape that's living out in the woods.
So weird thing is, we use the word interdimensional creatures all the time, and it's like, it's so sci-fi, right?
Right.
I just was seeing a paper that we'll probably do an episode on in the next couple months, just released like, I think in August.
Okay.
Talking about a researcher that was working with physics and may have found signs of life living on a dimensional spectrum.
Oh, okay.
So not living in another dimension.
No, just
living in between.
Yeah.
That there's like basically kind of like bacteria in between a wound.
Okay.
That it's very interesting. Mm-hmm. To points that there's some types of life out there that may be on a whole different spectrum.
Life finds a way.
Yeah, and that's not a joke.
It's not at all.
Life will force its way into every vacuum, every spot, every nook, every cranny. You may flip over the rock and think there's nothing there until you realize the rock was alive.
Right, exactly, yeah.
All right. So is that it for your aliens?
I think so.
Government. Now let's just say some of these are really around government bases. They seem to be very protective of these government areas. Mm-hmm. Or vice versa. The government has like big signs and stuff like that. The Hocking Hills one is pretty famous for this one ridge that's blocked off from the U.S. Forest Service.
Yeah.
And that people are constantly Bigfoot are using. Now, which way is it chicken or egg kind of deal? Know?
Keeping the creature in or keeping us out?
Yeah. Or is it keeping us away from the creatures, or are they using the creatures to keep us away?
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. I personally think if it's government related, I think we've done. It's not even think. I know we've done. It's documented. Human beings have done animal-human hybrid experiments, and it's still going on. It's not. I don't think anything positive can benefit from this at all. The movie we talked about off air, that movie Splice. As far as being some sort of soft disclosure of human hybrids with genetic experiments, basically just genetic experiments in general. I don't think should be happening, should not be done, but they are being done, and they're doing them with human beings. Didn't they do one with like a sheep or something? Like they mixed human DNA with a sheep, like some sort of, I don't know.
Oh, Japan has. Yeah.
Yes, Japan
is working on that right now.
And that's documented. Like you can find that. It's public information. It's happening. So if we've been doing that for a while, I'm sure we've mastered or developed something at some point where we're creating these beasts. And these beasts may be able to be programmed to perform a task, whether to protect an area. And what better shape or form would it be to have some sort of human-like shaped beast that's intelligent, that could be programmed and navigate a whole area and be scary and powerful and strong to protect whatever it is you want. It's the perfect creature. And our governments are just so nefarious.
Yeah, I'll just say that.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Put it past the government. If you have to say the government wouldn't do that, you're wrong.
Exactly. Because they will.
Tested. They've literally looked up the Tuskegee experiments. Look up you want to know how bad the government is. Just do a cursory search for I know the Tuskegee experiments, and there's still like people dying 60 years later from those experiments that the government won't help with. But what was the one? It wasn't Oak Ridge. I can't remember the one where they had the mental asylum for the mentally handicapped, and they were basically experimenting and torturing on them and telling their families they weren't. That was in the 90s. I was in the 90s.
Recent. Is that the one we?
And the only reason they got caught is because the rich family's little girl was there, and they had enough money to expose it.
Okay.
That was the only, because most of the people that ended up there were in very bad situations financially. The families were.
Right. Yeah.
All right. We're getting on a whole different thing.
Well, if you wanted to just see that, I recommend an episode of ours under our Cryptids and Core umbrella by our two friends that do the DW Conspiracy Shack show. Just a little plug for that. You can find it in the show notes below. They did an episode called "The Government Wouldn't Do That, Would They?" From April 6th.
But just remember, that's not a family-friendly show.
It's not a family-friendly show.
Especially that episode.
But if you're interested in, things that the government, we wouldn't push past the government doing, these are documented things that they covered on that show. So
that the government admitted to.
Yes, this is what they have admitted to. So we'll just point in that direction.
All right. Second to last one.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Demons.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through my bullet points.
Yes.
Glowing red eyes. Bad smell of rotting eggs or sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely aggressive and extremely scary behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And why we connected this with a lot of European demons. It's weird. A lot of this overlaps with a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Demons.
So I think it overlaps, like you said, with paranormal demon encounters, like ghostly demon encounters. Glowing red eyes. We've seen it. We've heard about it in ghosts, like demon, entities.
Oh yeah.
Black.
Oh yeah. No, we've had shadow people on the show, or people talking about the shadow people with it.
The stinky smell, the sulfur is always ghosts. Same thing. And then just to put out fear, to exhibit fear. And we think demons, we don't, or I think demons, I don't want to put words in your mouth. They feed off your fear.
Oh, I agree.
Okay. And they feed off that energy. Kind of like the best way to personify or to put it is, like Monsters Incorporated, where those monsters will scare the little kids and they collect their screams and fears, and that could be taken in a few different ways that I don't want to touch on this show, but just fear in general and living in that state of mind produces a certain energy that we think demons feed off of, and it keeps them around, it keeps them alive. So as long as they can able to feed, they're going to continue to exhibit that behavior to get that rise out of you so they can continue to exist and be here. And so demons being out and, protected, I don't know, just forested areas, it kind of falls in the ghost thing with me, or even the fae kind of thing. If they're there doing this, they'll put on this scary face and they will strike fear in you. They might not physically be attacking you, but just enough to physically impose themselves on you to rise that fear out of you. Maybe, so their energy is feeding off that and they're living that way. You never rule out the power of demons, but the thing is, you give demons the power. You do. So there's always good, always outweighs evil. Light always makes darkness recede, no matter what. Even in the darkest room, the smallest candle will make the darkness recede away from the light. So remember that. Don't let fear overcome you. That's all. There, I get off my little rant.
No,
Ditto.
it's just some of these Bigfoot encounters are just truly demonic, almost in nature.
Yeah,
Just,
scary.
Yeah, but it's scary on purpose.
Exactly.
It's not scary like running into, like, you shouldn't have been near a bull moose or something like that. That's scary in its own right, but it's just an animal being an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these encounters are really just scary on purpose.
Right.
My last one, and I'm not taking any questions.
Is this here from the top of the show?
Bigfoot's a manatee.
Oh boy. a manatee, a sea ape.
No,
Not even a sea ape.
just a manatee.
Okay, so I'm sure all of you at home are wondering,
All right.
what in the heck are you talking about?
So this is just something fun I started saying a couple months back to kind of get the point across that Bigfoot has a lot of traits that do make biological sense that are really weird for an ape. And I think that's where we're getting the disconnect. I don't think Bigfoot, now the flesh and blood version of Bigfoot, I don't think is an ape anymore. I don't think it is an ape. I think it's convergent evolution. It looks like an ape, but it's not. It's a lucid percutum in the eyes. The eye shine, not the eye glow, the eye shine. Even the eye glow we've talked about on the show can be biologically explained.
Right.
Like stuff like deep sea hatchet fish have the red eye, the bioluminescent organs, like it's headlights, because they can see infrared, so they use red light, so it doesn't freak out their food.
Makes sense.
So there's all these traits that push Bigfoot back as a much older species. If we look at apes, for example, or primates, we look at primates, the only ones that still have eye shine are the stuff like lemurs, these ancient primates, old school. Lemurs were around with the dinosaurs. So you got to go way back.
Old.
So manatees, let's talk about, I first heard it on Tony's show, and then immediately after I heard a different story from a different group in person. And not talking to the eyewitness, but talking to the group that was researching the story.
Right.
Of two different dead Bigfoots that, these one was a group of people and one was a pair of people that had, acquired a dead Bigfoot. I think both stories, they both killed them. So the one is the famous one from Michigan. There was literally running away, stealing a kid, and they shot it dead. And it was the younger, it was like a 6-foot Bigfoot. And the mom was trying to go back and get it, but there's so many people that just, left.
Left it, yeah.
So they're playing with this body, and they started cutting it up and like looking at it. And they said it had 4 lungs or extended lungs. They weren't sure. I think it's most likely extended lungs, which is weird. That's a weird trait.
But wait, never mind. I already know what you're about to say next.
Huh.
Something else in the animal kingdom also
Oh,
has-
lots of animals. I mean, there's
okay.
tons that have extended lungs. Everything from snakes to marine mammals.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Marine mammals, huh?
Yeah, weird marine mammals.
Yeah.
But the weirdest thing to me when I heard the first story on Tony's show was that he talked about these teeth. The back molars would slide around like they were on a track in the jaw and then pop into place like they were in a socket. And he said that that's why the guy telling the story originally believes that they were man-made or man-constructed animals. That they seem to have that stuff. And I'm thinking the first time I hear that, I'm like, no. I've heard that before, but an animal has that. They're thinking. I'm like, no, I know something has that. What has that? Finally, I remembered the only animal, dugongs don't even have this, but manatees have it. But manatees are a split off. This ancient manatee ancestors are a split off of tons of animals. I mean, it's called species radiation, to where one species becomes tons of species in a very short time. So when I say Bigfoot's manatee, I mean Bigfoot has ancient traits that date back to stuff like manatees.
So it could have branched off from the ancient.
Early, and I mean early. Yeah. I'm not saying Bigfoot's directly, a Sirenian.
Yeah.
But it's probably just, I use that to show that when I think the biological Bigfoots are no longer, I don't think they're apes. I think there's something so much more ancient that just happens to be smart and looks kind of like us.
Right, yeah. Takes that form.
We talk about
evolution.
we talk about their feet and stuff like that. They kind of look like people until you really look at them. These metatarsal breaks, these big spongy pads, no humans ever had that.
Right.
Of all the ancient human species that we've ever found, none of them have had that. None of the ancient primate human-like things have had that. So I think it's from way, way, way back. And when we start talking about these ancient species like hyenas, for example, hyenas kind of look like cats and kind of look like dogs.
Right, but they're more like
not either.
raccoons or anything.
They're actually, more closer to weasels.
Weasels.
And they don't look like a weasel.
No, not at all. Scary. Well, weasels are scary, but these
they
are
don't look
scary.
like a weasel.
No.
They look like a dog or a cat.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's happening here, is that Bigfoot's a manatee, or Bigfoot's an ancient species or a relic species that happens to look enough like us to make us think they're one of us. Thoughts?
I mean, there could be something to it. There definitely could be. And what if, even branching off that idea, if Bigfoot is a genetic experiment and they're pulling parts from manatee DNA, big
Yes,
ape
because
DNA.
I was going to say that's the first thing you're pulling if you're doing genetic research.
Well, maybe there's some sort of quality that they
Go out to the
required.
swamp and get me a sample of manatee
Well,
DNA.
listen. Let's say like if Bigfoot is some sort of evil experiment that they perpetuated on the world, and they're doing those sandfly beagles, like they're killing beagles with flies to eat off. You know what I mean? Like torturous experiments. But what if they're finding out like all this stuff plays part into something? I don't know. And then there's something in manatee DNA with their tracked teeth you talked about. But maybe there's something else, but that's just the part they kind of wanted to use for, and they're just splicing stuff together to see what works. And that's just part of the design that works the best. I don't know. I don't know.
So let's talk about this as a whole. And you kind of said at the top of the show, we both at this point believe Bigfoot is not one thing.
Right, yeah.
Bigfoot, the phenomena we're calling the Bigfoot phenomena in the world is actually most likely a hodgepodge of different things and entities that kind of resemble each other but kind of don't. And that they're all getting lumped into the same phenomena. That's why I believe, personally, it's been so hard to research, why people have dedicated their lives to not come up with answers, because they're trying to tackle the whole phenomena as one thing, and it's impossible because it's not. It's like throwing 4 or 5 jigsaw puzzles together and trying to put it as one.
And I just thought of something too. We talked about it on our the one we did with the vampires.
Last week's Monday episode. Two Mondays ago.
Yeah. So with that one, you talked about the beings that kind of evolve right alongside with we talk about human beings like the predators. What if that's what this was at first? This is that creature that evolved right alongside with us, but then over time, maybe we made friends with it. Like not made friends, but at certain points we did. Like Native Americans talked about, having like wrestling matches with these things. Like they gather and they kind of work together maybe sometimes. I mean, obviously there's still parts where they're major predators and major foes. They're both at the top of the food chain at that point with intelligence and knowing how to hunt and kill. But mostly the intelligence thing is what made them apex. So that maybe they were natural enemies. But what if some of them did cross lines? It's like, you know what? They came to an age of reason where it's like, we can work better together and we're kind of friends. What if it's just like that evolution of something evolving right alongside with us, and now we're to the point where we've taken over and they've receded into the woods, the darkness, which probably isn't good. It means that we're going to fight again at some point, but
I don't think they'd stand much of a chance anymore.
Not anymore, unless like we don't.
We
have
have
any more.
rocket launchers and
If that stuff
EMPs
fails,
and
if that stuff fails,
still a rifle.
Yeah, but they could use mind control and just tell us don't shoot, or they could make us miss. Like Ernest goes to camp.
Have you been to Texas? They can't do that when there's 1,000 bullets coming at them.
They could be like the Matrix and just stop them all with their mind at once, like Neo, the one.
Say your Ernest thing.
Yeah. Oh, so like, we're at the big rifle and we got the Bigfoot right in our scopes, which we have accounts of this. And the Native American lady taught Ernest, if you are brave and you don't show the fear, the bullet cannot strike you. And the guy aims right at Ernest. Ernest shows no fear, fires a shot, didn't touch him. And he gets closer, fires another shot, didn't touch him. He's using his mind to overcome the effects of physical weapons. Bigfoot may have mastered it.
And then
Ernest
we also have
is
stories
Bigfoot.
that Bigfoot got shot right in the face and dropped.
Well, there's those ones too. Those ones were in tune.
No, so I think, Mike, if I had to pick my group, what I think is actually the phenomena, at least the most part, I think you have the ancient biological thing, not a primate. I don't think Bigfoot's a primate in any way, shape, or form anymore, whether it's human or not.
Because another thing too that we've talked about, some accounts said like their rib bones and stuff, like they're built differently. It's like they're armored
it's almost like turtles. Literally, their ribs. The people that have actually got the hold, or at least you think got the hold, these Bigfoot skeletons have talked that they have fused ribs and all this
like
stuff.
big plates, like big,
almost like
thick,
turtles.
bony,
So I think they're the ancient animals. I think they're interdimensional.
Yep.
And I think they're the Fae. I think those are my 3 groups.
What about is there a sliver for the government?
Personally,
creations?
I don't think so. I think there are other things that maybe fall into that.
Yeah.
I just think Bigfoot's been the Bigfoot thing has been around for so long. Not saying they couldn't have built something that looks kind of like. I just don't personally think so. My opinion, just an opinion. But I think those are my 3 if I had to go in. So And because I think a lot of the UFO actually overlaps with the interdimensional and the Fae.
Oh, 100%.
You know, me and you kind of agree that
Yeah.
probably, I do think there may be aliens out there. They're just not visiting here.
There has to be one common thread that ties that all together. I mean, because it does all tie together. But so there's one common thread amongst all of them that could explain away all that phenomena.
So there's if any of you are my Facebook friend, you see my story today is an alien coming down, and he's like, "Hello, child, we're here from the stars." And this guy holding a Bible saying, "I know what you are."
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Demons.
Mm-hmm. But anyways, that's my group. What's your group? If you had to make a little group.
Interdimensional definitely is up there top. I do think there's a physical creature phenomenon, whether that be misplaced, like we talked about, misplaced apes, or a hairy man.
I'd
type
throw that
creature.
in there too.
What's that?
The misplaced apes ones for me. Well, I think it's very few and far between.
Yeah,
but stuff
agreed.
like the skunk ape and the Pennsylvania one.
I guess let me rephrase. I think there's been biological Bigfoot encounters of just a straight up biological creature. Now, and then to explain that could be a misplaced ape or it could be an actual creature. It's what Bigfoot is. And that could also be like an ancient human, step off. Either way, it's biological. I think that plays that some of it. I think a lot of it's interdimensional, like different creature from just a different, I don't even know, like almost a different world. Like it just doesn't physically belong here like we do. It's not part of us. And then part of it, I think, is just the earth, like an elemental type energy being that can physically manifest or move itself maybe between our physical realm and then the spiritual realm. I think because I think they both exist, and this is just able to navigate the waters in between. It's kind of where I fall on it.
No, I think I'm with you for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that's definitely not where I was sitting a year ago.
Shoot.
And that's definitely not where I was sitting 2 years ago.
And even
because we're coming up on our
5
this
years.
month's our anniversary.
Right. Even 5 years ago when I believe in Bigfoot, it's just, my thoughts haven't grown so much since then.
It's crazy because that's why I wanted to do this episode. Is
See how much we've changed over.
It'll be 2 years this month.
No, wow, that's right.
Yeah, and thank you guys for listening because there's
When we've grown from 3 listeners to
tens of thousands,
which is nuts.
That's a stupid number
It is, yeah.
to say.
Why do you guys like listening to us? That's what I think sometimes.
But the way we've evolved, because I've listened back to some of our old thoughts and stuff, and they're not wrong thoughts. They're just we've
wrong.
gained a lot
They're
more data
Yes.
and talked to so many more people.
We're evolving. We're growing, as we all should in life. Buy quail.
By quail. No, so
Trust dogs.
always trust dogs. I think Bigfoot's real.
I think.
No, I lost my train of thought halfway through.
Oh.
No, I think we're pretty much done. I mean, you got anything else to
No,
add?
I think we covered this pretty thoroughly. And
there's tons we left out. Like, because I
for
think a
sure.
lot of these little categories can kind of be lumped up into some of these bigger ones.
we can wrap it up by saying this.
Don't say anything bad.
No, I was just going to say Bigfoot is a layered topic with lots of onions to be peeled, layers to be peeled back. And to cover it all in one quick swoop, I think this is almost not going to happen. It's not going to get it within an hour.
Yeah.
So I think we covered a good swath of it. There's a lot more rabbit holes and areas you can dive into in all these categories, and a lot we didn't even touch on. Bigfoot's quite the phenomena.
I've been the great and powerful mystery.
I've been J Clone 4, I think I said.
And we'll catch you next week with more fun, awesome topics. All right, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Cryptids of the Corn podcast.
Please share with a friend you think would like us. It's the best way to help our show grow.
Leave a comment, rate us, a 5-star review, and remember, there is always extra content on Patreon/cryptidsofthecorn.com.
And don't forget, stay magical.